Be Wealthy and Smart, episode 377.
Step into a world of wealth and financial freedom without budgets, boredom, or bosses on Be Wealthy and Smart. And now, here's your host, Linda P. Jones.
Welcome to Be Wealthy and Smart. I'm Linda P. Jones, America's Wealth Mentor, empowering women and men worldwide to financial freedom. On today's show, we're going to talk about 3 savvy tips for dumping debt. This is good basic information for how to get rid of some debt. And this was an idea that I thought of and thought I should podcast about because I recently saw an article that said debt was at the highest levels ever in history. And that was really concerning to me. And I wanted to just chat with you about some easy ways to get rid of debt, but also to say, I believe not all debt is bad. And I actually believe that mortgage debt is good. The kind of debt that I don't like is debt that goes alongside of purchasing depreciating assets. Things like credit cards and car loans and things like that. When we talk about debt, we also have to talk about interest rates. And when I talk about interest rates, I want to talk about cycles as well because interest rates move in cycles. And right now we are at the end of a 30-year cycle where interest rates have come to a bottom and now they're in a rising interest rate cycle. We've seen interest rates starting to rise, and we've also heard that our new head of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, wants to make more increases in interest rates. In fact, he's talking about raising rates 4 times this year, and each time would be either a 0.25% or 0.5%. Usually it's about 0.25% that rates go up. So we might be talking about a total 1% raise in interest rates this year, but it could be higher than that because if they think that inflation is getting ahead, they are not shy to do a 0.5 point in terms of a rate hike. So it could be 1.5%, could even be 2% this year. But it's looking pretty likely for a 1% change in interest rates. So here's some things to think about. If you have a variable rate home loan, refinance to a fixed interest rate mortgage right away. I also like 30-year mortgages because they make it more affordable for you and you can pay them down quicker and make extra payments so that you can cut it down to a shorter loan. I've seen a lot of people get 15-year loans only to get into a cash flow bind, and they don't have the flexibility that they do with the 30-year. The 30-year, you have the lower payment each month, and so it gives you the option of having some extra cash left over to pay extra principal, which is what I recommend that you do, but I'll get to that in just a minute. So the first thing is to refinance from a variable rate to a fixed rate mortgage. Number 2, pay off your credit card debt and other high interest rate debt. Not only is the debt with the higher interest rate more expensive, obviously you're paying more interest the higher the interest rate you have on your debt, but it's also affecting your credit if you have more debt used up, or more of your credit used up, I should say, on a card. So for example, if you have 2 credit cards, card number 1, you owe $1,000 out of a $5,000 credit line, you've used 20% of your credit. Card number 2, you have an $1,800 debt out of a $2,000 credit line. So you're using 90% of your credit. It would be more important and it would be more beneficial to your credit score if you could pay down card 2 because it has the highest usage ratio. You've used up almost all your credit there, and you get a ding on your credit score when your usage ratio is too high, as I've referenced on some other podcasts. So you want to pay down the balance of card 2 if you want to get your credit score improved as well as paying down your debt. If you're not going to be buying a home or you don't care about improving your credit score right away, you can use the debt snowball method, which ignores your credit ratio. It simply pays the smallest balance. And yes, you can do that, but it's not going to improve your credit score if you still have a card that has used most of your credit up. So in my mind, it's best to get your credit score moving in the right direction as soon as possible, which means pay down that credit card that has the highest debt to usage ratio, as well as cards that have high interest rates. Number 3. This is an easy tip that I've done for years, and that is pay a little extra on your mortgage each month. I recommend that you pay 1/12 extra on your mortgage because that's the equivalent of paying one extra payment per year, and that will save you thousands of dollars in interest, and it will also help you pay off your mortgage early. So for example, if your mortgage payment is $1,200 a month, 1/12 is $100. Pay an extra $100 or $1,300 a month, and at the end of the year, you'll have made one extra $1,200 payment. There's usually no charge to do this, and you'll often cut your 30-year mortgage down by about 7 years and save literally thousands of dollars on interest. So it's always a good idea to put a little bit of extra principal on your mortgage payment and help pay down that faster. Another article that I saw that was so interesting said 36% of Americans plan to use tax cut savings to pay down their debt. Really interesting because in the last podcast I did, we were talking about how to adjust your W-4 to make sure that your withholdings are correct and to make sure you're not giving the government a loan because the standard deduction was almost doubled in most cases. So it can make a big difference for people's paychecks. So you need to check your W-4. And if you want to learn more about that, go back and listen to the last podcast. But this is what was interesting. While 36% of Americans plan to use their tax cut savings to pay down debt, where is their debt that they are looking to save? Well, 62% are paying off credit card debt. 29% are paying off auto loans. 26% are paying off student loans. 21% are paying off personal loan debt, 20% are paying off mortgage debt, and 9% are paying off other debt, which could be like a business loan or a boat loan, something like that. Very, very interesting. Most of this is going toward credit card debt, which I think is a great use for your tax refund. And if you haven't thought about it and you have some credit card debt, I would recommend that that's what you plan to use yours for. If you haven't yet gotten my 11 quick financial tips to boost your wealth, go on over to lindapjones.com and get my free report of 11 quick things anyone can do to get their net worth growing faster. You'll also get on my weekly email list, which will give you short wealth building ideas that are easy to implement. That's all for today. Until next time, live the good life and be wealthy and smart.
Thank you for listening to Be Wealthy and Smart with Linda P. Jones. Share the wealth and tell your family and friends about the show. Check out our website, blog, and social media for more riches at www.bewealthyandsmart.com.